Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's KGibbs F1 here, and welcome to FormulaXbox round 13. This time we're at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium for the Belgian Grand Prix, and it's a very special highlight video for you today because I'm joined in the commentary box by none other than Mr. Maestro himself.
Hello everyone, thank you for that glowing introduction. I'm very privileged to be here. I'm very happy to be here for what should be a fantastic race. If I remember back to last season, it was one of the races of the season, so hopefully we can have another great race today.
Absolutely, it was an absolute belter of a race back in Season 6. Spa is certainly a driver's circuit and really does bring out the very, very best in our competitors today. And it was Sinan who delivered the best performance in qualifying, putting it on pole for Red Bull with a 1 minute 46 dead. It was just 3/10 clear of Mel in second. But the crucial caveat to that qualifying result is that Sinan actually starts on the super soft compound of tyres today. One of the few men in the top order to start on the softest of Pirelli's rubber. Mel starting on the soft tyres, he will go a lot longer in that first stint. Maestro 3.39 I should say, back in third place, and Azar just behind him in the Ferrari, our championship leader of course, and all of those guys behind Sinan on the soft rubber as well. So it's going to be fascinating to see how those strategies play out over the course of this race. The shortest number of laps of the season, but we certainly pack a lot into that 22 lap duration. And as we look at Eau Rouge now, which will challenge the drivers in just a few moments time, we'll no doubt be crossing to the grid in just a few moments, where Sinan will try and have the whole shot off the line. As we see him now.
Oh, sorry. It's not necessarily best to start on pole here because of the massive Kemmel straight, meaning Melanie, Maestro, or even Azar back and forth could be leading at the end of sector 1. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, super softs mean you have to 2-stop, whereas Melanie, as we're on board with now, on the softs could 1-stop. Take us through the start.
Absolutely. So it's 5 red lights here at Spa, and away we go. Sinan gets a decent getaway, so does Mel. We've got a slow starter at the back there. I think it was Maestro as we head towards turn 1. Now Mel attacking on the outside of Sinan, but Sinan does indeed get the whole shot. Now, just as you said a moment ago, Maestro, can Mel get into Sinan's slipstream and do anything at the end of the Kemmel straight as they head up through Eau Rouge now? Kung Fu Kenny Jack behind these guys has made a great start, and here we go. Fantastic slipstream up the hill from Mel. He's made it look easy as he passes Sinan on the Kemmel straight, and he's got the job done even before Lecombe. So great start from Sinan, but couldn't hold it as they went up to turn 4.
Yeah, on board with K Gibbs now, and as you can see, terrible start from Maestro. I can actually inform you that my gear clutch wasn't working, and even when I released the clutch I was still in neutral, so I had to manually shift up to first, and therefore it's a terrible start. I'm down out of the top 10. Back to the overtake between Melanie and Sinan. Sinan had a very poor line through Eau Rouge and might have had to lift off, hence why it was so easily. Meanwhile, huge contact through Eau Rouge there. Well, not massive contact, but very lucky for you there not to be put into the wall. Good save as you lose a place to Brandon, who's made a good start. As now on board with Kev. Do you want to take it through this part?
Absolutely, yeah. New underwear required for K Gibbs GP there. That was a nasty moment through Eau Rouge, and just about kept it out of the barriers, and you can see it was getting very claustrophobic in behind as Kev made light contact with his teammate Feely, and you saw it got very, very tight between 4 or 5 cars at the source, as it so often does here. We're going to get a good view of that now from the Mighty Midget's perspective. He started this one down in 17th. Him and or 17th and 18th from the grid, so it'll be interesting to see throughout the duration of this race what progress they can make. And we saw there Drastic Midget with an audacious move into turn 1, straight between 2 or 3 cars there, threading the needle, and look how claustrophobic it is. This absolute train of cars head towards Eau Rouge, and they just about sort themselves out by the looks of things when they get there. We're going to see K Gibbs exit stage right in a moment, as he made a bit of contact, and Drastic Devil as well finding the runoff area at Eau Rouge, but somehow they all just about made it through in the end, and Nor getting a fantastic run. That was some incredible overspeed from him there, picked up 4 or 5 places into Lecombe. So Nor, fantastic getaway already, up to P12, P13 I think already, so he's looking good for points even at this early stage.
Yeah, I think it was quali bans for both Nor and Midget, hence why they were starting at the back. But going into turn 1, the source, there was contact between Maestro and Sam, forcing those 2 wide, and I think Nor must have just hung back through Eau Rouge and managed to get a great exit. Meanwhile, Melanie's passed Sinan on lap 1, but now lap 2, later on lap 1 even, he's failed to get away. Sinner up the inside of Puon, but he's run wide, and Melanie able to get him back with Joe the Amazement sitting in there waiting to make a move. So Melanie hasn't made the most of getting ahead of Sinan, and he's still fighting very much for the lead here as we skip to the midfield. Carnage again, there's more contact. Drastic Devil, a very optimistic move there, never really going to work, and he's down to last with no left end plate there. So we're now going to have a look from the other Williams Drastic Midget's point of view. See, side by side with his teammate, Devil chucks it up the inside of Perez. Maybe a bit of lag there, but again, not really a move that is going to work for those two, as Midget's now trying to get past Perez as well, and he's got an illegal overtake there, which is how this game unfortunately works under yellow flags. But that's going to leave the other Midget, the Mighty Midget, a chance around the outside, but nothing doing there as they head into the chicane now. Although Midget runs wide and Mighty Midget still can't get the move done. Over to you.
An absolute cluster of cars in the midfield, frenetic stuff on this opening lap, as drivers are probably aware of how difficult it is to overtake in Spa's middle sector, just trying to get the jump as quick as they can. And Drastic Midget has given himself all sorts of work to do over the rest of this race as he heads for the exit door of this particular battle at Curve Paul Frere, and it looks like Kev actually does exactly the same thing, but has much bigger consequences for his race, as terminal damage sees the Sauber man exit this race on the lap 1 of all laps. As we see now, K Gibbs under pressure from Maestro into Lecom. The Renault man makes the move, but K Gibbs tries to hang in there, but no, to no avail into Malmedy. That's Maestro now up into P8, recovering from his poor start, and K Gibbs getting it all out of shape on the exit of the corner there, now under pressure from Vapid in the Force India. These two just keep finding themselves on the same bit of tarmac this season, and they've had plenty of good battles so far, and looks like that is set to continue. As we see now, K Gibbs, one of the earliest to make a pit stop, one of those of course starting on the super soft tyre as well. And as I mentioned right back at the beginning, we're going to see people like Sinan, like K Gibbs, making early stops to switch to either the soft or, in the case of the Mercedes, the medium compound tyre.
Yeah, and as we can see, Sinan must have gone into the pits because he's gone, and now it's the Amazement taking the lead off Melanie on lap 4. DRS assisted there into Lecom. So looking like a good battle between not quite championship rivals yet, but given when Melanie joined the league going to Canada, he's looking like he will be the biggest challenge for Joe this season. As Drastic Midget getting it all wrong through a rouge, too much curve there. Has he managed to save it? Almost, but unfortunately he then lost it again, and that's his race over. Very difficult corner Rouges on this game, and I'm sure he won't be the only one to fall victim on this race as Sam runs wide Curve Paul Frere, which allows the Mighty Midget, who started right at the back, to get through, and his Melanie on the next lap now going back past Joe. So these two appear to be pretty similar in terms of pace, and that's looking like a good battle for the win throughout the race.
Indeed, you can often see this at Spa, where drivers just keep swapping positions on the Kemmel straight, such as the slipstream, and here we go. 3 wide into Lecom. Looks like Sam is going to pick off 2 cars here, and he does successfully there. So Sam, the wily racer that he is, picks off 2 into 1 and gets himself back up into P7. We saw him drop a place just a moment ago, but he's certainly looking to redeem himself. And very quickly here, as we see Azar and Melanie, just as I mentioned, swapping positions once again on the Kemmel straight, and this time it's Azar who makes the jump and makes the move up to first place. And these guys, of course, on soft tyres, which will be quite used by this point, just as we see right on cue, Mighty Midget looking to ditch those soft tyres he started on and instead take a set of the medium compound tyres, just as we saw with K Gibbs. And the medium is maybe not a tyre we thought we'd see a massive amount today, but with a lot of drivers going to it for this middle stint in the race, they could potentially two-stop if they want to run medium to the end. It's a big ask, but you never know. And certainly not going to the end of this race is Drastic Devil, who's found the barriers at Eau Rouge there, just like Drastic Midget in fact. So both Williams drivers come into grief at one of F1's most challenging corners, and we see a replay now of the incident. Drastic Devil potentially, does he hit the grass like his teammate? Yeah, oh he does, but he just gets a swapper on, and that's a big accident there. Drastic Midget, will that be a safety car? That's the big question, as Drastic Devil's found the barriers at a rather difficult place to recover a car. But certainly not at the moment. Oh, a virtual safety car in fact, so a little delay, but we do actually have a VSC. Now what will people do strategy wise? Will they come into the pits? Will they stay out? And we see a lot of cars now actually staying out course, Mighty Midget would of course stay out as he's gone to the medium compound tyres. Like I said, he'll probably have to make another stop before the end of this one. But for now at least, he's going to be going a long way into this race before he has to make another trip to pit road.
Yeah, indeed. I think Drastic Devil tried to correct before going onto the grass, because he didn't quite make it onto the grass, and as a result I think that he went wide and hit the wall. So unfortunate for him, as we now see K Gibbs once again being schooled round the outside of the bus stop by Jack Sparr there. Now he's got Perez on the inside as well as the Mighty Midget disconnects, and that's 2 positions lost in a straight there for K Gibbs, but he's going to try and fight it back on the exit of La Source as they head up towards Eau Rouge. But Perez lagging a bit, so if I was K Gibbs I would not be risking this, and indeed he's happy to sit behind for the moment. He'll take the DRS, I assume, and maybe he'll be able to make the move down into Lecom now. But Perez also with the DRS, so it's not going to be easy for K Gibbs getting in the slipstream, but he's maxing out there, and I think he'll have to sit back in P12 for the time being, and indeed he does, with KnorTheDragon not too far behind either. So battles all the way down the field at this point of the race here on lap 8.
Absolutely. Toto Wolff is slamming a desk somewhere right now as Perez and Vapid make contact as well. And just as Toto Wolff did a desk slam, he might have to retract that as K Gibbs is now battling to try and get those positions he lost so easily, you have to say, on the pit straight a few moments ago. He's trying to recover those now as they head towards Pouhon, and wow, that we got close there between Perez's gearbox and K Gibbs' front wing, and as a result K Gibbs is the one that comes off second best there as Knorr gobbles up P12, and that is now K Gibbs from the points a moment ago to P13. And now one of the men in contention for this race victory, Mel, makes a pit stop, moves to the medium compound tyres, and on lap 9 he is surely going to make a one-stop work from here, taking those medium tyres to the end. And this is exactly how the strategy is going to define this race, because those people that started on super softs like Sinan is going to be hung out to dry by the one-stoppers, as we see all action on the straight as Jack Sparr gets mugged by not one but 2 cars, and Knorr actually takes Perez as well into Lecom. So Knorr elevated from P12 to P10 in very short order indeed.
Yeah, it looked like Melanie came in lap 9, which is earlier than most, as Joe appeared to still be out there. So going for the undercut, maybe trying to lose the DRS from the amazement, which would maybe help him stay in the lead permanently, as Perez runs very wide into the corner with no name, but it doesn't appear to have lost him too much time there. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Joe and others like Kung Fu Kenny and Maestro now react, as Knorr lost it on the curb there, maybe, but he just manages to hold it there through Pouhon and now into the chicane. But yeah, I expect Joe and Maestro and probably Kung Fu Kenny to be coming in this lap, as well as we see behind K Gibbs also trying to make the move on Jack Sparr, whose tyres may be struggling at this stage of the race, and indeed K Gibbs gets that move done. So Jack Sparr dropping back now into 13th place and second last, as Perez now in the slipstream of Knorr. Surely he's not going to try anything into Blanchimont. Indeed he doesn't, you can see lifting off there. But will he go for a move into the bus stop chicane? Knorr appears to let him through there, so not sure what's going on there. There's a car flashing across the screen there. I think that's K Gibbs completely missing his braking zone into the bus stop. He's managed to rejoin and hasn't lost too much time, but he has indeed lost that position once again to Jack Sparr.
K Gibbs very fortunate there that it's tarmac runoff on the exit of the bus stop, because as you said, Maestro just totally misjudged his braking and exited stage left there as we head now towards Eau Rouge. This little battle pack has got a little more strung out as Perez is now in the box seat to claim what is a seldom point, and it just shows you how competitive FormulaXbox Season 7 really is, as you've got 4 cars battling frantically for what is a single solitary point at this point as they head towards Lecom, and it's Jack Sparr looking to get the better of Knorr, and he's got that move done, so he's now back up into 11th place. Jack Sparr, who was dropping like a stone just moments ago, is now fighting for the singular point once again.
Yeah, indeed. It's quite a big battle, as you mentioned there, and Sam now helping out his teammate Joe by holding up Melanie, and Joe manages to remain ahead, or does he? Melanie will have the much better run down towards Eau Rouge, and are they going to go side by side here? Melanie putting alongside, surely not. Is Joe going to back out? No, they're still side by side through Eau Rouge. Joe manages to hold it there, possibly cutting the corner. Now Sam, with the much better run, is going to go past both of them possibly as we head down the Camel Straight, possibly 3 wide. I can't actually see Sam, but Melanie appears to pull ahead at this point, although Joe later on the brakes into Lecom, and it remains as in the order as it was before Eau Rouge. But great driving, great respect from these two drivers to go side by side through our Rouge there and not crash. As we now see Case Legend coming in at the end of lap 10 for a set of mediums, presumably to go to the end. But yeah, great racing there, and Joe actually managing to get the lead off Melanie, so the undercut not working.
Remarkably brave stuff there from those two. Absolutely sensational racecraft, and how Azar managed to hang on to first board, which is de facto first place there, and hold off the McLaren is unbelievable. That McLaren so much overspeed heading towards Eau Rouge that it looked like it was going to be a done deal, but Melanie will have to settle for second fiddle for now. But here we go, the battle is resumed on lap 11, and of course this is for what is the lead of the race, as Mel and Azar go side by side, and just as we saw earlier, resuming their DRS battle as they head towards Le Combe. It's Melanie that has the better of Azar for now. As you can see on the timing screen there, Maestro who's managed to get his way up to third place, so he's played his way into contention pretty well there. Has he made his first stop yet though? That's the question.
Yeah, he has. He made that on lap 9 with Melanie actually, so trying to get the undercut as well, and he's now past the 2-stopping Sinan for third place, and we'll see if he has the pace. Oh, there's massive contact on the straight. Jaxter into the wall, surely out of the race there. Not particularly sure what was going on as we were looking backwards, but Jaxter doesn't appear to be out, but I'm sure he's just retiring there, and indeed he is. So not exactly sure what went on there, but hopefully we'll get a replay of that massive contact there on the straight. But yeah, it will be interesting to see if Maestro does have the pace to catch up with the leaders. But if they're using DRS to pass each other and not battling throughout the rest of the lap, they'll actually be gaining them time instead of losing them time. So it might be difficult for Maestro if he wants to win this race, but we'll have to wait and see. Still 11 laps to go.
11 laps to go indeed. We're only at half distance, believe it or not, and as you can see at this point in the lap, it seems like Melanie has an advantage through what is the middle sector. But Azar actually retires from the race. I thought that was lag going on there, but for whatever reason, Azar's gone off at Blanchimont. You don't often see that, and that is him out of contention, and that is a virtual safety car deployed as a result. And well, that has turned this race absolutely on its head. Melanie now leads. Maestro is in second place. So, well, that should bring... I mean, he's the closest to Mel in terms of battling for this race win now. As we see these three going at it again. I think this is a replay, in fact, of what happened to Jaxter. We're going to see now, yeah, he just gets into the back of Nor. So close. So close to collecting K Gibbs there. But he just about got away with it. How? I mean, there was a cigarette paper between the Force India and the Mercedes there. And we're going to see a replay now of what happened to Azar. So we noticed him from Mel's onboard going off at Blanchimont, and yeah, it was indeed lag, having a part to play. And yeah, indeed, like I said, it's very, very rare to see a car go off at Blanchimont. Azar, a victim of lag. And what championship implications will that have? He's certainly got a big enough championship lead that he shouldn't relinquish it at this round. But further down the line, if Azar loses this championship by a slender margin, not least if he loses it to Mel, that will be very, very costly and a big talking point indeed. As we see Nor and K Gibbs, who have seemed to have been absolutely locked in battle throughout this race, once again side by side through Le Combe, and Sam, who's now made his pit stop. We saw him battling in the lead earlier. Of course, he wasn't really in that lead fight in the grand scheme of things, but now battling his way back through the field and into P6 for now.
And K Gibbs now going past Nor into the bus stop. I'm not sure if Nor was getting out of the way there because he appeared to be quite slow, and as he let K Gibbs through there to try and get the DRS. If he has, that's very cheeky. He didn't get the DRS for the pit straight, but he may well get it for the run up towards the Com, as we now see the mighty midget passing Bottas into the Com. Bottas breaks later though, as they go side by side now, and where's Bottas gone? He's missed the chicane there, so Midget gets that move done. But the question is, these tyres are getting quite old now, 10 laps on these mediums. Will they be able to go to the end? As Bottas having another look up the inside into Ravage there, so he's not wanting to give this position up. Bottas didn't qualify, came late to the race, so he's doing a pretty good job with presumably the stock setup to be fighting for 7th here. He's still going at it as they head down towards Pouan now, up the inside, and he's got the move done. Great move there from the man. Oh, he's technically in the McLaren, but he's racing in the Manor this week. But great move there to maintain 7th place, as Midget wants to have a look up the inside of the bonus chicane, and he's gone for it. Bottas leaving the door open there when he probably shouldn't have done, but he maintains the position for the time being. But surely Midget's going to have something to say about that as they head on the run down to Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane.
Indeed, yeah, but it really characterises this race. We've seen some absolute tremendous racecraft And we're seeing it yet again now from two guys who, remember, started this race right towards the back and on the way through. Blanchimont too wide as they head into it's one of the fastest corners on the circuit, and Mighty Midget gets the move done there. I don't think Bottas will be too angry about that though, because of course that is going to play him right back into contention when they get onto the Kemmel Straight, and DRS becomes a factor. As we see now Kay Gibbs, who's worked his way on lap 19 back into the points in P9, but he's got KnorTheDragon in P10 all on his gearbox once again, and as he gets a bit wide through Radion, that is going to give Nor all the opportunity he needs to make a move stick. And there we go, with DRS to help him out as well. That is Nor up to P9, Kay Gibbs demoted to P10, and by the looks of things a very, very fast contender in the form of Perez right behind Kay Gibbs on the road as well. Lap 21 now, and you can see the Toro Rosso man is right on the back of the Mercedes and challenging for that final points paying position. As they head now towards Eau Rouge, it's side by side. We've seen this already a couple of times. Perez dips back into the slipstream though, and is probably going to be well served to do that, because it saves the drama and potential jeopardy of going through Eau Rouge side by side, and of course means that he's going to get a fantastic tow all the way up to Le Combe and up the hill. So he's Kay Gibbs defending the inside line very hard there. Perez trying it on the outside at Le Combe, goes off the road, and that's surely going to give Kay Gibbs the opportunity to retake the place, and yes indeed it does. But here comes Perez with the cutback, and as they head down towards Rivage now, it's Perez on the inside, it's Kay Gibbs on the outside, and it's Perez into 10th place.
Quite naughty from Perez there in my opinion, and quite like what Hamilton did in 2008 to Raikkonen there, cutting the corner, then taking the place back almost immediately, but I'm sure we'll let him off. And as we can see, skipping to the back of the lead, Maestro has caught right up to the back of the McLaren, but he has no slipstream. The slipstream glitch once again playing a massive part in this race, although Maestro closing quite nicely into Blanchimont. Is he going to have a go into the bus stop? Yes, he goes for it, diving up the inside. Can he get the move done? There's slight contact there. Maestro maybe going to go for the cutback. Indeed he does, but he's lost the back end there. He's spun. Huge bottle there. Possibly going to take the lead on the last lap, and he's spun out of the bus stop, and he's lost the position to Kung Fu Kenny as well. Absolute disaster for the Renault driver, who is maybe looking for his second win of the season, and he's thrown it away there potentially at the bus stop chicane on lap 21, and that should leave Melanie to take the win easily now, with Kung Fu Kenny in second. So just like in Canada there, Maestro messing up a huge opportunity to win the race, and I'm sure he'll be absolutely livid with himself.
Incredible scenes there. We saw it last year at Monaco, season 6, where Maestro lost out to a victory with a puncture. You could say he's lost the victory here today in very different circumstances, but what a recovery, you have to say as well, from a lag start way down the field on lap 1, recovers all the way up to a battle for first place on the final lap. But Mel will breathe a sigh of relief after that as he heads through Rivage, through the corner with no name, and eventually down towards Pouhon. He's just about withstood the pressure and the aggression that Maestro threw his way, albeit a battle that was admittedly a little short-lived. But as he heads through Pouhon now, we saw him win in Austria as well, of course, where he passed the Williams it was worthy on that day on the final lap of the race, and he's had to fend off a rival on what was very nearly the final lap of this one. But the McLaren man, of course, he joined the season in Canada. He won his first race. But with Azar heading to the barriers at Blanchimont today, you wonder if he can really begin to mount an assault in this championship fight. He's certainly a bit of a player, and we've certainly seen some great racecraft from not only him, but everyone in the field today. So as he heads towards the bus stop chicane now for what is the final time, lap 22 of 22. And it's going to be Melanie who takes out the win at the famous Spa-Francorchamps in Season 7. A fantastic race win from him here today, but what could have been for Maestro and for Renault. Kung Fu Kenny Jack crosses the line in second, and Maestro has to settle for third on this occasion, and he will be kicking himself.
Indeed. Great drive from Melanie though, although obviously his rival was being taken out at some point during the race. Nothing to take away from him. Great withstanding of pressure, as it was Casey who came home fourth for the reserve team, Sam in fifth due to Sinan's penalty dropping him to sixth. And a great race today, I'm sure you'll agree. Not as good as last season necessarily, but still very entertaining driving throughout the field and throughout the 22 laps.
Absolutely, yeah. As ever with FormulaXbox, you do see some really, really great racecraft from these guys who are very respectful at wheel-to-wheel combat as well. So, yeah, not quite on the level of Season 6, but it was going to always be very, very difficult to get to those heights. But ultimately, very, very enjoyable to race in and to commentate on today. I have to say, big thanks to Maestro for coming along and making this a dual com. We'll have to do it definitely more often in the future. But until next time, when FormulaXbox will see you at the Temple of Speed that is Monza, we shall see you very soon. Goodbye.